Part 1. The silence before the storm. Rome didn't fall in a day. It didn't explode. It unraveled. Quietly. Not with screams, but with silence. With votes cast in back rooms, debts unpaid, promises broken, and laws ignored. The Republic didn't die with a sword. It died with applause. By the time anyone realized what had happened, it was already too late. You're watching Still Rise, where we tell the forgotten stories of history. Not with noise, but with silence. Subscribe if you're building your future through calm wisdom from the past. The story begins, Chapter 1. A republic without a soul, Rome. 133 BC. The city is booming. Victories in Spain, Carthage, and Greece have flooded its streets with gold, slaves, and spoils of war. But beneath the marble temples, something is rotting. The Senate, once built to represent the Roman people, has become a club for the rich, blind to the growing crisis just outside the city walls. Veterans return from war to find their lands stolen. Farmers are bankrupt, and the people are starving. It's not a fall yet. It's a quiet collapse, the kind history almost forgets. And then came a man named Tiberius Gracchus. Chapter 2. The first domino, Tiberius Gracchus. Tiberius wasn't a revolutionary. He was a Roman aristocrat, educated, respected, and connected. But when he saw poor citizens sleeping in the streets, while the rich hoarded thousands of acres, he broke ranks. In 133 BC, as tribune of the people, he proposed something radical. Take the land from the rich and give it back to the poor. It was legal, it was fair. But the Senate saw it as treason. Tiberius was attacked inside the Senate house, beaten to death with chairs by senators themselves. Not in a riot. Not in war. In full daylight inside the government. The message was clear. Power wasn't shared anymore, and violence was now acceptable in politics. This was the moment the Republic cracked, even if it didn't collapse. Chapter 3. Rome's addiction to violence. Tiberius' brother, Gaius Gracchus, tried to continue the work. He reformed grain prices, extended rights to non-Romans, and built roads and colonies to support the poor. But the Senate wasn't just watching, it was hunting. They declared Gaius an enemy of the state. In 121 BC, surrounded by soldiers, he fled to a sacred grove and ordered his servant to kill him before the Senate could. 2 brothers, 2 assassinations, both killed by the very government they were trying to reform. And now, a precedent was set. If you challenged power, you died. Chapter 4. The rise of Marius and the end of the citizen army. Fast forward 20 years. Rome is at war. Again. But this time, the enemy isn't just foreign, it's structural. The Roman army, once made up of landowning citizens, now struggles to find recruits. Why? Because land is gone. The poor own nothing, and the rich won't fight. Enter Gaius Marius, a general from humble beginnings. He reforms the army, allowing landless citizens to enlist. Promises land in return for loyalty. It works. Rome wins. Marius is hailed as a hero. But something dangerous has changed. Greater than for the first time in Roman history. Soldiers are no longer loyal to the Republic. They are loyal to their general. This change, quiet at first, will soon set Rome on fire, when generals became kings. Chapter 5. Sulla's March. When Rome attacked itself, after Marius. A new figure stepped forward. Lucius Cornelius Sulla. Sulla was brilliant, ruthless, and obsessed with one thing: power without permission. In 88 BC, Sulla is given command of the Roman army to fight a foreign king. But Marius, older now and bitter, pulls strings in the Senate to take that command away. And then something unthinkable happens. Sulla turns his army around and marches on Rome. For the first time in history, a Roman general invades his own capital. There's no foreign enemy, no revolution. It's just ambition, armed and armored. Rome falls without a fight. Sulla seizes power, kills his enemies, and sets a precedent that changes everything. Greater than if you lose in politics? Use the army. Chapter 6. The dictator who gave it back. Sulla doesn't stop with power, he wants revenge. He draws up prescription lists, public death warrants. Names of senators, nobles, and even friends are posted in the forum. Anyone can kill them. Anyone can claim their property. Blood runs through Rome's streets, and no one is safe. But then, just as suddenly, Sulla resigns, steps down, voluntarily. He believes he has restored the Republic, but what he's really done is prove that absolute power is achievable and temporary, and someone more dangerous is watching. His name is Julius Caesar. Chapter 7. Julius Caesar. The calm before the storm. Caesar grows up during this chaos. He sees the Senate's corruption, sees his uncle Marius exiled. He sees Sulla's purge. He learns. Greater than the law, doesn't matter if you can rewrite it with fear. Caesar rises slowly, speaks well, earns favors, and wins public support, not through violence but charm. He becomes a military commander, fights in Gaul, and begins to build something terrifying. Greater than a loyal army, a mountain of gold, and the love of the people. But Rome is nervous. Senate demands Caesar disband his army. Instead, he crosses a small river. Chapter 8. Crossing the Rubicon, January 49 BC, Julius Caesar stands at the Rubicon River, the legal boundary no general can cross with an army. He pauses, then utters the words, "Greater than alia iacta est." Est! The die is cast. Caesar crosses. He doesn't just cross the river. He crosses into history. Rome, once again, falls without resistance. Politicians flee. Opponents surrender. And Caesar becomes Rome itself. He says he doesn't want to be king, but he takes king-like powers, controls the treasury, appoints officials, becomes dictator for life. And Rome is quiet. Because the people are fed, because the army is loyal, because fear is stronger than debate. Chapter 9. The Republic's last breath. But not everyone stays quiet. Marcus, Junius Brutus, the idealist, Cassius the conspirator, and others in the Senate still believe in the old ways. They whisper, then plan. They don't want a king. They want to kill the idea before it becomes permanent. On March 15th, 44 BC, the Ides of March, they strike. Julius Caesar is stabbed 23 times on the Senate floor. By men he trusted, by friends he protected, by the last defenders of a dying idea. The Roman Republic. They thought killing him would save the Republic, but what they didn't know is this. Greater than they weren't killing a man, they were ending a chapter and beginning an empire. For Chapter 10. The ghost of Caesar. When Caesar died, the assassins expected celebration. They thought the Republic would welcome their act. Instead, the city fell silent. People didn't cheer. They cried, "He fed us, gave us land, he kept us safe." And when his will was read, something unexpected happened. Caesar had named his heir, a quiet, sickly 18-year-old boy, Gaius Octavius, but he wouldn't stay quiet for long. Chapter 11. Octavian. The master of patience, Octavian wasn't a warrior like Caesar. He wasn't a speaker like Cicero, but he had something they didn't. Greater than patience, discipline, and a mind sharper than any sword. He forms the Second Triumvirate, a shaky alliance with Mark Antony and Lepidus. Together, they hunt Caesar's killers. Brutus and Cassius are defeated at the Battle of Philippi. The Republic's defenders are dead, but Octavian's work isn't done, because Rome is still divided. There's one rival left, Mark Antony and the Queen of Egypt. Chapter 12. Cleopatra. The last queen, Mark Antony, finds more than refuge in Egypt. He finds Cleopatra, queen, a symbol, a threat. Together, they plan to rule the East, and maybe more. Octavian paints them as traitors, lovers who want to make Egypt the new capital. The Senate declares war, not on Antony, but on Cleopatra. It's political genius. It works. In 31 BC, at the Battle of Actium, Octavian's navy crushes Antony and Cleopatra. They flee, they fail, and in the end, they kill themselves rather than be paraded as trophies. Chapter 13. The first emperor Octavian returns to Rome a hero. He has no rivals, no enemies, and no republic. But he doesn't declare himself king, so he does something far smarter. Greater than I am, only the princeps, he says. But behind the words, he holds every power. Army, treasury, senate, Rome still pretends it's a republic, but it's not. In 27 BC, the Senate gives him a title never used before, Augustus. He becomes Rome's first emperor, and no one protests. Because the people are tired of war, because peace feels better than freedom, because silence has replaced resistance. Chapter 14. The death no one noticed. The Roman Republic didn't end with fire. It ended with a whisper. No battles in the forum, no protests in the streets, just years of erosion, of assassinations, of ambition unchecked. By the time Augustus takes power, the Republic has no defenders left. What was once a system, vision, and ideal, is now just a memory. The people didn't lose their freedom in one moment. They gave it away, one compromise at a time. And as Rome enters its golden age, the cost is never spoken aloud. Chapter 15. The price of peace. Augustus brings stability. Roads are built. Taxes are reformed. The army is professionalized. Rome expands. Not just its borders, but its belief that peace matters more than freedom. But that peace came at a cost. Debate became dangerous. Power became permanent. And truth became optional. People didn't notice because they didn't want to. And so, Rome entered the Pax Romana, a 200-year period of peace, led by emperors, not ideas. It looked like a golden age, but underneath, the disease remained. Greater than when one man holds all power, the fall is only delayed, never prevented. Chapter 16. Lessons we didn't learn. The story of the Roman Republic isn't just ancient history. It's a warning, still echoing. When wealth concentrates, when politics turn into performance, when laws are rewritten to protect the powerful, history doesn't repeat. It whispers. We see it in broken institutions, in rising distrust, in people giving up, not with protests, but with silence. Because Rome didn't fall when Caesar crossed the Rubicon. It fell long before, when citizens stopped believing they mattered. The end isn't loud. It's quiet. It's comfortable. It feels like order, till it's not. Chapter 17. Why this story still matters, you might ask. Why study a republic that died 2,000 years ago? Because every generation faces the same question. Greater than, do we protect power or principle? Do we trade freedom for peace or demand both? The men who tried to save Rome, Tiberius, Gaius, Brutus, didn't fail because they were wrong. They failed because they were too late. And because the people had already chosen silence over struggle, once power becomes entertainment, collapse becomes inevitable. Chapter 18. The final thought. A whisper from history. Greater than. The Republic didn't fall. It was forgotten, not with fire, but with comfort. Not with invasion, but with distraction. And in the end, it didn't collapse. It simply became something else. You've been watching Still Rise, where we tell the stories history tried to bury. Not with noise, but with stillness. Subscribe if you're building your future with lessons from the past. We rise together, one quiet story at a time.